We're going to review writing equations today. So before we begin with actually writing equations, let's review some of our formulas that we have studied, starting with slope. Now, you may need to pause this video and write the equations down, as I will go through these pretty fast since we've already covered them all. But make sure you have all of these included in your notes. So slope, we have m equals y1 minus y2 all over x1 minus x2. And of course, that can be written the other way as well. Y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then we have point slope. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And for each of our forms, we have two key features. So the key features that go with point slope come straight from the name, point and slope. The point is x1, y1 from the equation, and the slope is m. Those are our two key features. All right, slope-intercept form will be y equals mx plus b. And again, it has two key features, also coming straight from the name. So slope is one of them, which is the m in the equation. And then intercept is the y-intercept. And it comes from the b in the equation. One thing to remember about the y-intercept, we always write it as a point, 0b. Standard form, it's our most recent one. ax plus by equals c. The two key features for standard form are the x-intercept, which is always a number and then 0, and then the y-intercept, which, as we talked about just a minute ago, is always 0 and then a number. All right, then we also studied horizontal lines. We used the acronym HOI to help us remember everything we need to know about horizontal lines. HOI will never be the answer. It just kind of is a helper for us. H stands for horizontal. The O is actually a 0, telling us that our slope is 0. And then the Y tells us that it goes through the y-axis. So if we're ever asked for an equation, it's always y equals a number. Now remember, horizontal lines are the ones that go left to right. We also have vertical lines. Vertical lines, we use the acronym VUX. V stands for vertical. U tells us that our slope is undefined. Remember, M stands for slope. And then the X tells us that it cuts through the x-axis. So if it asks us for an equation, we would say X equals the number where it cuts through. And all vertical lines are drawn up and down. All right, so that was a brief overview of all of the different equations that we have used so far. So now let's try an example. We want to write an equation in slope-intercept form that passes through the points -2, 5 and -4, -3. That's kind of wrapped around with the point, so this should be a -3 over here. Again, I would encourage you to pause the video and write this down so you have a good set of notes that you can refer to. When it says slope-intercept form, that is the form that you want your final answer in. That is not the form we start with. That's where your final answer is. So, the steps to getting there. Step 1, find slope. So we're going to go back to that slope equation that we talked about a few minutes ago. y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So we'll do 5 minus a negative 3, so that would be 5 plus 3, and then negative 2 plus 4 gives us 8 over 2. We always want to simplify, so 8 over 2 is 4. After you find slope, the next step is always to put it into point slope. Okay, so to put it into point slope, you pick either one of these. It doesn't matter which one. We'd say y minus y1, so y minus 5 equals 4 times x minus x1, which is a negative 2, so that turns into a plus 2. So step 1, find slope. Step 2, put it in point slope. And then step 3, we're going to solve for y. Solving for y will change it to slope-intercept form for us, which is what we want. So to solve for y, we start by distributing. We have 4x plus 8, and then we're going to add 5 to get y by itself. So y equals 4x plus 13. You can see now that the y is by itself, and we are in slope-intercept form, which is what it asked us to do. Okay, so this next one, we're going to do kind of the same thing, but I'm going to show you the question. I want you to hit pause and see if you can go through those 3 steps on your own, and then come back and check to see if you got it right. So again, we're looking for slope-intercept form, passing through 2 points. So go ahead and try. Hit pause right now. Try it, and then come back and check. All right, so step 1 is slope. We have 5 plus 4 over 0 plus 3. 9 over 3 equals 3. Then we put it into point slope is step 2. Y minus 5 equals 3 times x minus 0 if you used the first point. Then step 3 is to solve, so we can get it into slope-intercept. So we're going to simplify. X minus 0 is just x. So we would have y minus 5 equals 3x. Add the 5. Y equals 3x plus 5. Now it's in slope-intercept form. Now this question also asked us to state the key features. For slope-intercept form, the key features are slope and y-intercept. Straight from the name, slope-intercept. So the slope in this case is 3, and the y-intercept, remember we write as a point, so it would be 0, 5. Those are the key features that we would use if we were graphing. All right, next, we want to do kind of the same thing we just did here, but instead of writing it in slope-intercept form, we want to write it in standard form. So let's review the steps that we would need to go through to get it to standard form. Reminder, standard form is ax plus by equals c. This would be another time that you're probably going to need to pause it to write down these steps. The good news is the first 3 steps are the same that we just practiced. Step 1 is slope. Step 2 is point slope. Step 3, we solved a slope-intercept. So it's step 4 that is new. Step 4, we want to get x and y together on the same side of the equation so that it looks like what we have here in standard form. They're both on the same side. Then you want to eliminate any fractions and make your a value positive. So please write this question down. Again, you're going to want to hit pause and then come back. So here we want it in standard form. Again, this is our final result. So we don't jump straight there. You need to identify what formula this is. Hopefully you know that this is point slope right here. Since they already gave it to us in point slope, basically steps 1 and 2 are already done. So we're ready to move on to step 3. So that means we need to solve it. Y minus 4 equals 1/2 x minus 3. Then we need to add that 4 over. Y equals 1/2 x plus 1. So now we're in slope-intercept form. So we're getting ready to move on to step 4, get x and y together on the same side. In order to do that, we have to subtract 1/2 x from both sides if we want to move it over. When I rewrite it, I want my x value to be first. So negative 1/2 x plus y equals 1. So that was step 4. Now I want to eliminate the fractions. So to eliminate the fractions, we multiply times the denominator. So we're going to multiply this times 2, this times 2, and this times 2. So whatever this denominator is, or otherwise known as your LCD, multiply all the terms by that number. So that gives us negative x plus 2y equals 2. We're almost done, but we need to make sure a is positive. So if a is negative, you change the sign of everything. We'd have x minus 2y equals negative 2. There you go. All right, so now I want you to try this next one. Again, hit pause so you can write it down. This one you're going to go through all the steps. So starting by finding slope, point slope, slope intercept, get them on the same side, eliminate fractions. Hit pause and give it a try, then come back. All right, step 1 is finding slope. So we do 5 plus 4, since it was minus a negative, and 5 plus 3 minus a negative. Slope is 9 over 10. I am then going to do step 2, which is point slope. Y minus 5 equals 9 over 10, x minus 7. Then I want to solve it so that it is in slope-intercept form. Y minus 5, I'm going to distribute 9 over 10. So it's 9 over 10x minus 63 tenths. And then I'm going to add 5. Now some of you might have changed that 63 tenths to 6.3. That's fine. Since it's a nice number, if it was an ugly number, we would leave it as a fraction. Y equals 9/10 x. All right, so we have negative 6.3 plus 5. Now, if you leave it as a fraction, we would need to change the 5 to have a common denominator. Right now, it's 5 over 1. So if we want it to have a denominator of 10, we need to multiply the 5 times 10 to get 50. So 50 over 10 is the same thing as 5 over 1, but now we can combine these two. So that leaves us with 13 over 10. And that is our slope-intercept form. But we're trying to get to standard form. So the next thing we're going to do is move our x value over to be with our y value. Since it was positive, we're going to make it negative to move it to the other side. And then we need to eliminate fractions. So since our LCD is 10, we're going to multiply all 3 parts by 10. So we have negative 9x plus 10y equals negative 13. Now we're almost done. This is step 5 here, but we also want to make sure that our a value is positive. So change the sign of everything. 9x minus 10y equals 13. Now it's in standard form.